Welcome to the Bryant Park Business Briefings. I'm here with Jane O'Connor. I want to welcome her. She's a world-renowned author. She's written more than 30 books. You know her from the Fancy Nancy series. Give it up for Jane O'Connor.
Oh, thank you.
How's everybody doing today? Good? All right. So happy to have you here. One thing that a lot of people don't know about you is you are the Vice President and Editor-at-Large for Penguin Books, and you're also this phenomenally gifted writer. Tell me what that has taught you, the idea that you're a book editor, and how has that really helped you as a writer?
I was an editor really before I was a writer, and working on other people's manuscripts really gave me the itch to try and write my own. And so editing kind of flung me into book writing, but I was always working part-time, so writing for many, many years was in off hours.
Did you have this idea that you were going to break out and be a children's author at some point?
Well, I was a children's book editor, and actually the first book I wrote was a middle grade novel for kids. And so kids' books, I think I'm a very immature person, and I'm basically stuck as a 9-year-old, and writing for children just seemed to be where my head is. I've written a couple of books for grown-ups, but kids' books is me.
But that can't be easy, because you're an intelligent person, but you have to also really relate to the young people and stay relevant with them, which, you know, they must have changing tastes.
Yeah, I think there are some things, though, that are universal.
Okay.
You know, growing up experiences for everybody, no matter when you were born. What I went through as a kid probably has similarities to things you went through. And having kids, I saw them experiencing the same things I did. So those kinds of things you can tap into always.
And you have really tapped in. I mean, your 2012 book, Nancy Clancy, has spent 300 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. There have been all kinds of ancillary business opportunities that have come out of that. You have dolls, you have games, all kinds of things. Was it a vision to really go that large with it?
No. When my editor at HarperCollins, Margaret Anastas, she signed me up for 2 Fancy Nancy books. Well, it was probably about 10 years ago. And I thought, 2 books? How am I going to write a second book about this character? But somehow it expanded. Oh,
wow, okay. And so you told people that you were going to do this book. What was the hardest part about being a book publishing executive and then having your career take off at the same time?
Well, more and more writing Fancy Nancy books took over my life. And so it was increasingly harder to be working full-time and also doing that. So about 10 years ago, I went to just part-time editing, and now I only go into Penguin 2 days a week. I don't want to give that part up of my life, but
Why not? Why don't you want to?
I like working, first of all, I like working with the art department and working on the art in the books that I edit. I like working on other people's manuscripts where it isn't my own that I have to be slaving over. And I like working with the younger editors at Penguin. And I basically would hate to be home just staring at a computer all the time.
You've had a lot of commercial success, but because of the elegant style of Fancy Nancy and kind of what she represents, I feel that you have some kind of message that you want to send to young girls. What is it?
Well, the message is, I think, just be yourself, because Fancy Nancy is a little girl who's kind of like a hothouse orchid in a family of daisies. They're totally plain people. And she's not like Eloise. She's not rich and terribly advantaged. She kind of creates her own glamour and fanciness. It's kind of a do-it-yourself fanciness.
And one of the great things about your books is also the illustration.
Oh.
Your partner is Robin Price Glassler.
Yes.
How did you start working together with her?
Well, people always think that we must have been friends before we wrote the first book, and we did not know each other from Adam. I sent my manuscript to Margaret Anastas, the editor at HarperCollins, and Margaret only wanted Robin Glassler. When I wrote the first book, I actually had a different image in my head of what the character would look like, and of course I had her looking sort of like I did when I was 5 years old. But when I saw her character sketch for Fancy Nancy, I thought Margaret is brilliant. Robin is the only person who should be illustrating these books. Her artwork is very funny, and yet it's also very pretty. And so it just has, I think, an automatic appeal for little girls.